In this video, we're going to show you how to install the brake caliper on your Toyota Camry located behind your rear wheels. Now before we start performing our brake caliper replacement in the back end, we have to go ahead and put the parking brakes into service mode. So from the driver's seat, we're going to start by turning the key to the on position. I'm going to apply the brake and make sure that our parking brake is disengaged by pressing the parking brake lever down. Then turn the key off. Turn the key to the on position again. Within 8 seconds, apply the brake, pull up on the parking brake lever 3 times, and then 3 to undo it. On the dash, you're going to see the parking brake light flashing. Then we want to go ahead and press the parking brake lever and hold it. And you're going to hear the parking brake disengaging in the rear. It's going to take roughly 10 to 12 seconds for that to stop. Once it's done, we can now go ahead and service the brakes in the back. Just go ahead and turn the key to the off position. We're going to use our 21mm socket, loosen and remove the lug nuts. Once we have those off, remove the wheel and set it aside. Before we remove any of the brake components here, we need to disconnect the electrical harness going to the electronic parking brake. On the top of this gray connector, there's just a little push tab. You can push down and grab that harness and pull this off. There it is. There's a little tab you're going to be pushing in. Set that off to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and locate your brake flex hose here and attach those to the brake caliper. I'm going to use a pair of plastic pliers here to go ahead and pinch off that flex hose. That's going to keep the fluid from continuously draining out once we remove it. We're going to use our 14mm socket. Loosen and remove the banjo bolt. And we do have a catch can underneath. You can see we're losing some brake fluid here. Use a catch can or a bucket underneath. Now on the top of the caliper is going to be a 14mm bolt. Let's go ahead and move this here. Get that out of the way. Now there are 2 14mm bolts holding the calipers, one up top, one on the bottom. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove these. Now in our case here, our slide pin here is moving. We're going to go ahead and use a wrench on that to go ahead and hold that. And the same thing on the bottom, it's spinning. We're using our 17mm wrench on the inside to hold that pin. And we're going to loosen and remove the outer bolt. Do the same on the top. All right, you can see that drop a little bit when we remove that bolt. I'm going to take this off and we're going to tip it down because it has brake fluid in it. Next thing we want to do is remove our brake pads. Grab our pad, slide those out of the sliders. Set these aside. Now in order to remove our brake caliper bracket, we need to remove the 2 bolts on the inside here. Those there should be a 17mm. And we're just going to use our ratchet to go ahead and break these free and spin those out. Now these may spin out freely for you once you break them. There we go. Please keep in mind when you remove the bracket itself, the brake rotor will be free floating. Just keep an eye on it. You don't want it to fall off the wheel hub and hit you in the foot. And pull that bracket off. Now I want to go ahead and remove our electronic parking brake assembly from the brake caliper. Now this is held in place by 2 number 5 Allen keys. You can use a regular Allen wrench here. we go. Go ahead and break that other one free on the other side. Go ahead and separate that unit like so. Now when you receive your caliper and bracket, it's going to be attached. So we're going to go ahead and use our 14mm socket, loosen and remove the bolts. We want to separate the caliper from the bracket. Set that aside. Now the pins will be installed. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and grab the boot, and we're going to grab the pin and twist and slide this out. And what we're looking for is the amount of grease that is put on, and we want to make sure that it is sufficient. Pull this apart, and what we're looking for is a thin coat of grease. Now there's a little bit on this here. Doesn't hurt to add some. Wipe it off with the glove. Now you want to make sure that's a minimal amount. So when you install this here and you start to push it in, if it pushes the pin back and out, then you have too much grease in there. That's telling us that we hydrolocked it and it's not letting the air move in and out. So go ahead and work that in. You can see that it's pretty much dead once I push it in. That's perfect. We'll continue to push this in until the boot seals on that lip. Give it a couple twists. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. Now that we have both of the slide pins taken care of, tip it up, and we want to go ahead and apply a little bit of grease to where our slides are going to go. So put some grease in here. Use your glove and smear it. We don't want a ton in here. We just want a thin coat. Then you want to grab the appropriate slide. And when installing this here, there's a tab on either side. And I like to install the inboard tab first. So it's going to go in, get that tab down, and then press outward. And you want that to be sitting flush, so you can look here and on the inside to make sure that is flush. I'm going to repeat for the other side. Pop that in. Now once that's in position, you do want to make sure that those slides are clean. Make sure there's no grease on those, because what's going to happen is if you put grease on these here, dirt and debris is going to stick to them, and that's going to cause your brake pads to bind up and pretty much make them stick and not do what they're supposed to do. Go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. Before installing the electronic motor, we're going to put a light coat of grease on this O-ring seal. Go ahead and grab that motor. And we want to go ahead and line up the splines here with the splines on the back side of our piston. Go ahead and push that on and install our bolts. And go ahead and snug them down. So once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. And do the same over here. Before we install the caliper and bracket, go ahead and grab your lug nut, or one of them, and spin that on, holding that rotor in place. It's going to make it easier when we go to install that bracket and everything. It's just going to hold that rotor and keep that from flopping out. Just hand tight, that's totally good and ready to go. Grab that caliper bracket. I like to go ahead and get that upper bolt started here. Go ahead and get that lower bolt in there. Now we want to go ahead and torque these bolts. We're going to torque these to 79 foot-pounds. Do the same for the upper. With those torqued, we can now install our brake pads. Once we have the pads in place, we can install our caliper. ahead and grab your slide pin, bolt, get that lined up, and then get that started. Get the lower one started here. Let's go ahead and snug those down. Now we want to go ahead and torque these down to 20 foot-pounds. Before installing the flex hose, it's best to go ahead and replace the horseshoe-shaped gasket on the flex hose end here before installing it onto the caliper. There is a little hook on this here that inserts into the caliper. Go ahead and line that up. Install the banjo bolt. Go ahead and snug that down. Remove the plastic clamp. Now let's go ahead and install our electronic parking brake connector. Simply line that up. Gonna push it on. You're gonna hear and feel it lock into place. Go ahead and remove that lug nut if you did decide to use this here to hold the rotor in place. Now if you need these brakes done on the other side, you wanna go ahead and do this now. Once you're all set, don't forget to reset the electronic parking brake. We're going to show you how to do that. Top off the brake fluid in the master cylinder, pump up the brakes, and then proceed to the brake bleeding process. Now at this point here, you're going to locate the bleeder screw on the back side of the caliper here. Now we have a rubber cap covering our bleeder screw. If you don't have this rubber cap, it's okay. It's not detrimental to the operation of the brakes. Now what we're going to do is use either an 8mm or a 5/16 wrench. And I want to go ahead and loosen this bleeder screw by turning it counterclockwise. And what we're doing here is we're going to watch for any air bubbles coming out right here. You can actually see some air bubbles burping out of there, and wait for a solid stream of fluid to come out. Now that we have a solid stream of fluid coming out, we're going to go ahead and tighten this down. Now brake fluid is corrosive, so you definitely want to use some spray solvent. Clean this up, wipe it down. Now you want to hop into the vehicle, pump up the brakes. Make sure that brake pedal feels nice and firm. If it doesn't, repeat this process one more time. If you still can't get a firm brake pedal feel, you now need to proceed to the brake bleeding process for the entire vehicle. At this point, go ahead and pop on the rubber cap, install your wheel, and you're all set. Install the wheel. Let's go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started, and then we'll come on back and snug them down. We're going to snug them down. Do not over tighten. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. Now when torquing these down, we prefer to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set. Install the ignition key. Turn it 2 clicks to the on position. Apply the brake. And we're going to reach over here and pull up on the parking brake lever and hold it for about 5 to 6 seconds. Hold it while the electronic motors do their thing. Here we go, it's all set. Turn the key back. Now with the hood open, you can go ahead and locate your master cylinder right here. It's on the driver's side part of the firewall. Now before we open up this cap here, we want to go ahead and spray it down with some spray solvent. And the purpose of doing this here is we want to make sure if there's any debris around the top here, we don't want it to fall down inside. give that a wipe down. Go ahead and grab that cap, open that up. Now some of these vehicles will have a little filter inside. There it is, just little tabs there. Gonna set that aside. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this vacuum unit right here. You can use like a turkey baster, but our goal is to go ahead and pull out the existing fluid that is inside the reservoir. I'm gonna pull this out and put that into another container. We want to continue this process till we have as much of that fluid out as we can get. Now at this point here, our unit is about as empty as we can get it. We're going to grab our little filter screen here, line it up, and we're going to push that down inside. Now we want to go ahead and top this off with our DOT3 or a DOT3 fluid. Now because we're going to be bleeding the brakes, we can go ahead and overfill this a little bit. We have a full line on here, which is right up at the top here. We're going to put a little bit in there because we're going to be pulling out some fluid as we go. Go ahead and grab that cap and pop it on. Let's now go ahead and start our brake bleeding process. Now we're going to go ahead and start our brake bleeding process. Now on this particular vehicle, we're going to start with our right rear wheel. We're going to proceed over to the left front or the driver's side front. Then we're going to come back to the driver's side rear or the left rear and finish up at the right front, the passenger side front wheel. Now we have someone inside the vehicle that's going to help us pump up that brake and hold that pressure while we go ahead and open up these lines and purge out any air in that system. We're going to go ahead and open up this rubber cap or remove this rubber cap first. Just going to use a pair of pliers and pop this off. If your vehicle does not have that rubber cap, it's not the end of the world. And we're going to use a 5/16 wrench on this little bleeder screw here. And we're just going to crack that open just a little bit. Okay, it's free. Now we have our reservoir here with our vent tube. This is going to take that fluid. I'm going to press this on. All right, we're going to have that person inside the vehicle. Go ahead and pump up the brakes about 3 to 4 times and hold it. All right, and while they're holding pressure, I'm going to open this up. All right, so it's gone to the floor inside. We're going to close that. Go ahead and pump it up. Now what we're looking for here is air bubbles coming through this hose here. And one more time. We're getting a solid stream of fluid here, which is excellent. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and pull this hose off, remove our wrench. I want to go ahead and make sure that this is pretty snug. Now if you happen to have that rubber cap, go ahead and pop that back into place. If you dribble any brake fluid, go ahead and use some spray solvent. Clean up any of that drippage on the caliper itself. Clean it all up because brake fluid is corrosive. So we want to make sure that this is all clean and protected. I want to go ahead and do this process on the left front. Now we have the person inside the vehicle and went ahead and cranked out our wheel so we have better access to the bleed screw here on the left front wheel. We're going to repeat the process. If you have the little rubber cap, go ahead and pull that off. Set that aside. We do want to take our wrench and make sure that this is broken free. And there it is. I'm going to hook up our hose here to bleed. All right, why don't you go ahead and pump it up. And there's a lot of air in this one here. Go ahead. I can see all that foamy fluid come through. Go ahead. Just a lot of air captured inside this here. All right, that one there is perfect. I'm going to seal this up, make sure that bleeder screw is nice and tight. Carefully remove our hose here. Once again, if you have dribbled any brake fluid here, give it a quick spray with some solvent. Give it a wipe down. and then install the rubber cap if you have it. Now that you get your cap on here, we're going to go ahead and top off the master cylinder up underneath the hood, make sure that there's plenty of fluid in there. Then we're going to proceed to the left rear and finish up with the right front. Let's open this up. All right, let's now go ahead and continue on to the left rear and finishing up with the right front. Now you want to go ahead and install your wheels, and don't forget to torque down the lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. You can go for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.